incomes, records, and much more. This time, we delve into the superheroes of our world, or so they may seem. Here are 10 rare diseases which actually grant the patients a form of a superpower, enabling them to do things ordinary people can't. Keep in mind though that a lot of these diseases can cause great complications and discomfort to the sufferer, so while we explore the surprising upsides, we must remember that these are in fact abnormal conditions. Hyperthymesia is also known as a condition which enables supermemory. The origins of this word can be traced back to the Greek word hyperthymesis, where hyper indicates excessive and thymesis implies remembering. This is a neurological condition which grants a person the ability to remember every single moment of his or her life. In fact, only 60 people in the world have been diagnosed with this extremely rare disease, which enables them to recall and narrate each and every day of their life with precise details. While most people's memories about life events get fragmented and blurred over time, people with hyperthymesia will theoretically never forget anything, and anything at all which they take in through their senses. It could be a news broadcast they heard years ago, or an extract from a book that they read decades ago in school. It doesn't have to be something they memorized, it could have just happened around them, and they would remember. They can narrate those incidents with absolute, factual precision. What's more astounding is the fact that these people can even recall events from their early childhood, which supposedly a very minute fraction of people are able to remember. Those who do, too, mostly tend to forget over time. But people with hyperthymesia have a never-ending, ever-expanding database of memories in their minds, which grants them a superpower in a sense. Analgesia is also commonly known as the no-pain disease. The terminology is derived from the Latin word analgesic, which translates to insensibility to pain, and rightly so. This is the scientific name of a condition wherein a person does not feel any sense of pain whatsoever. This condition is so rare that only 40 people have ever been diagnosed, that too in a small locality of villages in Sweden. The syndrome has not been known to influence appearance or mental abilities, which signifies that superheroes, like the ones seen in popular culture, could really be walking amongst us. However, this can prove to be a dangerous condition. On the surface, a person may seem as invincible, but it is important to know that pain is a great asset to any living being. It is an indicator that something is wrong in the body or out of order. Thus, people with analgesia are more susceptible to dangerous internal problems, as they may never be able to detect an anomaly. In fact, some cases of analgesia can be so severe that people may not even be able to feel another person's touch. The savant syndrome is a condition which enables extraordinary talents, or the ability to do anything, in individuals. This is another rare condition which is typically seen in people with developmental disorders such as autism or Asperger's syndrome. People suffering from this syndrome are exceptionally talented in music, arts, calculations, cartography, or in constructing 3D models. This condition heightens the cognitive ability of a person in certain cases. So, while an autistic person may suffer from developmental issues, he or she may possess an unparalleled sense of, say, perspective. Stephen Wiltshire was a famous British architectural artist who drew a 3D model of London just after one flight over the city. And he too had the savant syndrome. Thus, such people are often named as savant geniuses. There is an inadequacy in these cases, usually in the form of mental deficiencies or underdevelopedness. But these people are creatively gifted, so much so that any other fully functional human may not be able to match their ability. It is commonly known that the adrenaline gland is what governs the fight or flight response of our bodies. Adrenaline can generate stress, anxiety and fear in our minds. But for Geordie Koenig, this isn't the case. He was a victim of Cushing's syndrome, as a result of which his gland had to be removed through surgery. He is completely impervious to the feeling of fear or stress. In fact, while attempting dangerous acts like skydiving, his heart rate does not even increase minutely. The stone man syndrome is a rare disease that affects how the body heals itself. People with this condition heal exponentially faster because their tissues start to repair themselves almost immediately after being damaged. This may remind you of the popular fictional superhero, the Wolverine, but the reality of this condition is much more severe and more comparable to the Thing from Fantastic Four. The injuries and the constant reparation may cause the joints of the sufferer to harden like stone, becoming essentially frozen. If you attempt to have the hardened bone replaced, your body will quickly get back to healing and take you back to square one. Scientists have gone as far as to say that this essentially transforms people into living statues as they lose movement in different parts of their body as they age, as it is a gradual process. In a sense, as you grow older and your bones get weaker, the body attempts to heal, thus gradually turning bone into rock. People suffering from this syndrome live difficult lives as they are in constant fear of even the most minor injuries and are deprived of even the simplest of joys in life, like having children. Sclerosteosis is a genetic mutation wherein humans are born with abnormally denser bones than average human beings. In theory, people with the unbreakable bone mutation could walk away from high-speed accidents with just minor scratches. Initially, one may be impressed by this and call it a blessing, but this causes excessive bone growth, especially in the skull region, and in turn, excessive pressure on sensitive nerves like the cranial nerves and the brain, which may even lead to loss of hearing. Furthermore, the massive overgrowth often results in gigantism, distortion of features, and dangerous levels of pressure on the 7th and 8th cranial nerves. On the upside, however, some researchers believe the thick bone mutation could potentially act as a cure for osteoporosis or other diseases that cause brittle, weak bones. This mutation is perhaps actually a blessing as it has no downsides as such. It disables a body's copy of the CCR5 protein, the protein used by the HIV virus as a doorway into the cells. It restricts the HIV virus from attacking immune cells, which exponentially increases a person's chances of survival. If a person's CCR5 is mutated, it is highly improbable that they'll even be infected with HIV. In more exceptional cases, some people even have 2 copies of this gene mutation, making them the most resistant to HIV on the planet. A shocking fact is that only 1% of Caucasians have 2 copies of this mutation, and it is even more rare in other ethnicities. So far, it remains a mystery as to why this mutation is absent in people from Africa, Asia, or other parts of the world. Scientists continue to dig deep into genetic mysteries to figure out ways in which this mutation could be exploited for treatments. But as the world knows, AIDS research is a tedious, expensive, and a very challenging process. This may seem like a blessing to people living in the deprived tropical or subtropical regions where medical healthcare isn't readily available. But in reality, this superpower comes in the form of a blood disorder called sickle cell disease. People with 2 copies of the sickled hemoglobin gene suffer from a reduced ability to transport precious, life-giving oxygen to the organs throughout the body. Due to the odd structure of the cell, a lot of blockages may be caused in the arteries, thus restricting the flow of oxygen, leading to serious complications like anemia. However, people with 1 sickle gene and 1 normal hemoglobin gene are able to live healthy lives, and their condition enables them to be less susceptible to catching a serious case of malaria. It is hoped that using this variation, scientists will be able to produce more innovative malaria treatments in the future. All of us possess the gene ACTN3, but certain variants of it often lead to different abilities in sports. While this is not a rare disease per se, it is a condition that only a fraction of us are undergoing. The body makes a protein called alpha-actinin 3, which controls fast twitch fibers and the flexing of muscles during rigorous activities like weightlifting and sprinting. It also controls the cells responsible for speedy muscle tensing. In studies in 2008, it was found that only 20% of the general population inherits 2 defective copies of the gene, which gives them rare sporting abilities. A study of Brazilian soccer players too determined that those with 2 defective copies had the highest aerobic capacity. Thus, one could say that this supermutation grants Olympic-level athletes phenomenal speed, agility and strength, which no common human being can match. The muscle hypertrophy syndrome is a rare mutation which is characterized by reduced body fat and enhanced muscle size. An affected person would have twice the muscle mass in his or her body as compared to others, which also results in increased muscle strength. A case of this rare condition was found in a child named Liam Hoekstra. He was diagnosed at the age of 3 when he was displaying unusual superhuman strengths for his age. He could lift 5-pound dumbbells and perform all the exercises which were near impossible for a normal child of his age to do. This condition was first observed in 1990s, initially recorded in a cow known as the Belgian blue cattle, famous for its unusually large mass. In 2000, a German boy was found to have a similar condition, which attracted the attention of scientists further. 2004 marked the official enlisting of this term in a medical dictionary. The myostatin-related hypertrophy is caused by genetic mutations in MSTN. It provides instructions for making a protein called myostatin, which is also present in skeletal muscles and used for movement. This protein actually controls and restricts muscle growth so that they don't overgrow. Thus, through the mutation, the production of myostatin is reduced, leading to an overgrowth of muscle tissue. The world has been hearing about magnetic people since a long time, and scientists still continue to debate over its significance. Guinness World Records too listed Etibar Elchiev from Georgia as a record holder for most spoons held on a human body. However, most of these cases do not follow the principles of magnetism, or very often even physics on the whole. It is argued that these exceptional cases are of people with unusually sticky and elastic skin, but that has failed to explain why they are able to stick even heavy metallic objects like hammers to their foreheads. Critics like Benjamin Radford used compasses to prove that such people do not possess or generate a magnetic field of their own, but were still unable to explain the occurrence clearly. It can't be denied that there is no magnetism involved, because most always, these feats are carried out by people who are bare-bodied, on their skin, which proves that if there really was magnetism involved, it would not require them to get rid of any clothing to be able to accommodate the massive weights they do. Thus, it is increasingly being believed that this human magnetism is nothing but actually abnormal friction and mutated skin. It could also be enhanced using a variety of factors like heat, alternate materials, angle of inclination, etc.